The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly Speaking podcast here on July 2nd, 2020. How you guys doing? We have now entered the second half of the year. Obviously, the first half was pretty disastrous. It's amazing how 6 months, 2 days in, and so much has happened in that time frame. You know, we had Kobe Bryant pass away. We've had a lot of, we had an impeachment trial. We've had, now this pandemic. We've had countless injustices happen. Protests and all that. And we're only 6 months in. 6 months, 2 days into the year, into this year. We still have another 6 months to go of this year. And all I can say is this. All I can say is I hope and pray that the second half of this year is much better than the first half. And that's, obviously that's saying a lot, because that's not saying much, I say, because of the fact that this year, the first 6 months obviously is the bottom. We can only do much better, right? The year couldn't possibly get worse, right? I guess, yes, we still have our health for the most part. At least if you still like to hear this podcast, for example, and whatnot, you still like to hear this and have our health and our family and all that. But definitely things have been compromised. We still have an election, this year. A lot going on this year. That's gone on so far, and we have still a lot to get to. And I just hope and pray that we all, at the end of the day, we all, just make it through. Be kind. It's like I say, be kind to each other. Respect each other. Also, wear your fucking masks. Seriously. Wear your masks. You wear your masks, this actually dilutes much of the problem. The stats say this. If you wear your mask, this pandemic will be somewhat contained. Can we not make this political? Seriously. Just wear your fucking masks. It ain't that hard. This ain't about red and blue right now. This is about safety, and about safety for yourself, safety for others. It's common sense. You wear your mask, you limit the amount of people getting sick. How hard is that to fathom? Apparently it is. We have morons going to town hall, say, I'm on the masks. Ain't about you, motherfucker. It's about everybody else. Wear your stupid masks. Wear your mask. That's all I ask. And I'm not saying when you're outside, whenever walking around where you can social distance, obviously you don't wear masks out there. Oh, it's too hot outside. Well, duh. Don't wear it outside. But if you're in a communal area, if you're in a building, if you're in a store, it is respectful for you to wear a mask. Think about how you feel. Do everybody else. In your house, you don't wear a mask. You don't have to, obviously. But in a public place where you can possibly be carrying this virus, and you're not even knowing it, it is, just common sense to wear your mask. This ain't about you, man. This is not about you. It's about everybody else. To protect others more so than yourself. Please, wear your fucking mask. I'm sorry to open the show cussing, but this has really been frustrating me all week long. You're seeing, and obviously a lot of things has a lot to do with the reason why these numbers have gone up in the last 2 weeks. There's a lot of reasons why. Protests don't help, obviously. And whatnot. But still, reopen the country. And again, I wasn't against reopening the country necessarily either, as long as we were doing it the right way. More people being tested, yes, I agree. The numbers were going to go up no matter what. But you can limit and help the issue. Nobody wants to get back to normal more than I do. But we have to do our jobs here as citizens of the world. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. That's not hard to do, please. I'm also annoyed, too, because I have an allergy issue. And this isn't new, because I always have allergies anyway, with my nose and all that. But recently, the last couple of days, and even right now as I'm recording this, my eyes have been absolutely annoying. To the point where it's actually affecting me at work, too. I know it's not glaucoma, because there's no pain. But for the last three days now, my eyes have been really itchy. Really, really itchy on the edges. And I'm obviously, the safe bet is it's allergies. 3 straight days. And at least, definitely glaucoma. I got a coworker, a friend of mine, who apparently had glaucoma. And I asked him his issue, and it's way different from mine. I'm not going through pain. It's just this itching, irritated. That's all I'm saying. I've always had allergy issues, but it's not until this week where my eyes become an issue. And in the past, the eye would be an issue once in a while, but it would go away after a couple hours. This is now 3 straight days, and it seems to be getting worse. My eyes are watery at times, then it's dry, then it gets really itchy. Part of me thought it was lack of sleep, maybe stress, because I've been a little stressed out recently with my schedule. But right now, my right eye's on the edge now. It's annoying, and it's both eyes, man. It's fucking annoying, really, really annoying. But my wife said probably have to go to the doctor in the next couple of days if this isn't getting better. She thinks it's pink eye. Who knows? I don't know. I hate going to the doctor. I really hate it. You know what I'm saying? I really hate going to the doctor. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? So hopefully this itchy eyes get better as days go by. We'll see. Quiet house today, by the way. My wife's at work right now currently. My oldest son is at his grandmother's house for the next 2 nights rather, I think. My youngest son just fell asleep a little while ago, so I'm starting this podcast a lot later than I wanted to. He took a long nap today, which, okay, fine. And then I was hoping he would fall asleep earlier so I get this podcast in earlier, but it's either you just pound through it now while you can, or just don't do the show, and I'd rather do the show. You know what I'm saying? So hoping to get this done in the next 20 minutes. But yeah. Let's see what else I want to talk about here. Cam Newton is now a New England Patriot. Can you believe that? Cam Newton has a job. Signed a 1-year, $7.5 million deal. Now, this deal is an incentive-laden contract. So if I'm not mistaken, based on what I read today from Ian Rappaport from NFL Network, he can earn up to $7.5 million depending on the contract, depending on the incentives he hits, of course. Now, I still question whether he'll be a starter by week 1 when I see his contract, because Cam Newton is still, we don't know how healthy he is, obviously. He's had a rough couple of years. Health has obviously been a big issue with him. The Panthers let him go because they were building. So we don't know how good Cam Newton is. He's hasn't played a full year in a few seasons. He played 2 games last year, and you could argue I'm not even sure week 2 he played the entire game, but he played 2 games last year. The first weeks of the year, he was done. So we haven't seen Cam Newton be a top 10 quarterback in quite a while, and I question whether he'll be a star week 1, assuming there's a season actually to kind of go there a little bit. I still think Jarrett Stidham, who's going to second year, former Auburn quarterback, will get a fair shake for the starting job. I think the Patriots are really looking at Stidham as the future, but Cam Newton as the emergency option if Stidham doesn't work out. We'll see. I think he'll get a fair shake of the job. I think the Pats will be competitive this year. I think Bill Belichick, with everything going on with Tom Brady leaving, of course, and I think there's going to be a lot of motivation for the Patriots to prove that it wasn't just about Tom Brady. And we know it wasn't only just about Tom Brady. We know Bill Belichick and where he stands in the echelon of all-time greats. He's, in my opinion, the greatest NFL coach, to ever do it. But I think the Pats will be competitive this year. I think I don't see the bottom falling out this yet. The Pats. I think Bill Belichick always finds a way to get the best out of his players. He's always been doing that. He's always done that for pretty much the entire Patriots career, 20 years now. 8-8 to me is their bottom. I think they'll be an 8-8, 9-7 team this year. I think they'll be competitive. I think the AFC East, honestly, is still. You can argue wide open. People will say Buffalo because they're the team on the rise. The Jets maybe also right there next to Buffalo. The Dolphins are kind of figuring things out a little bit. But I think until Buffalo proves it, now granted they made playoffs two last 3 years, which is good. But until they actually prove it on the field, I think you can. If you believe the AFC East is wide open, I don't think you'd be wrong. I don't think you'd be wrong at all. So. We'll see. If we get football this year, of course, too. If we get football this year. I mean, if we get a football season this year, then maybe they'll be, we'll know more. But, yeah, I think Cam Newton, I still, there's a question whether or not he'll actually be a star week 1. Like I said, I think Stidham will get a fair shake at the job. It's going to be a fascinating year in New England, depending if we even see football this year. Donald Trump. Now, you know what? It's funny. With all the negative news that Donald Trump has gotten in the last couple of weeks, I mean, I'm not even talking about the COVID stuff and, the protests, all that, but even the little things that, I was thinking about this a couple days ago. Like, it kind of feels like Donald Trump is trying to throw the election. Last couple of episodes, I talked about the polling that's come out in the last couple of days, and how Donald Trump is losing Joe Biden in the polls by nearly double digits. In some battleground states, he's actually losing key battleground states. He's losing big. But it feels like I'm probably wrong here also on this. This is just an opinion. I'm just throwing an opinion out here. Just throwing something something to chew on here. It kind of feels like Donald Trump is kind of throwing his election. Like he doesn't want to be president, and he's trying to purposely lose the election. Now that may not be the case, and in fact, I probably would tend to argue that most likely it's not the case. But some of the gaffes he's done the last couple of weeks has been, even for him, it's pretty bad. The retweeting on Sunday, the video with the man shouting white power at a Trump rally last week. Trump says he didn't see the video. And what's funny? It's actually believable that he may not even seen the video prior to retweeting it. But that's still pretty bad. And in fact, that's actually worse for Trump to do that, because if you're choosing to make Twitter your way of being transparent with the rest of the country and the world at large, then you need to make sure that anything you're retweeting is verified. And the fact that you didn't even verify that, so let's assume that he's telling the truth. The fact you didn't even verify before you retweeted it is still a problem. It's actually worse, in my opinion. So in some ways, I actually kind of do believe him. I think what Trump probably saw was a guy. He saw a video, Trump rally, people cheering for Trump. Oh, cool, they love me. Of course, Trump being a narcissist, of course, and then retweets it. I've always said I don't know if I agree that Trump's a white supremacist. I think he's a supremacist in general. I think Trump thinks he's better than anybody. White, black, doesn't matter. But I don't think. I think he just. It's very believable that he didn't realize what was in the video, and then he honestly took it down. Or maybe he's just throwing chaos out there, Now, right now, I think I'll start doing every week on the show. I'll throw my election odds, percentage of chance that Trump being reelected. So right now, I'm going to put his election odds right now in this moment at 35%. Based on the polling, based on the atmosphere of the country right now, in this moment, freeze frame here. This can change, obviously. I still think part of me thinks he's still in this election, because he's a charmer. The folks that love him really love him, and they're loud. But I do believe there is some deterioration around his base, around support around him. Even people that may want to vote for him because of policy agreements or just whatever. And look, there's still a lot of time. You got July just started. You got July, you got August, September, and October. It's a lot of time for Joe Biden to fuck this thing up. Still time for Joe Biden to trigger the gaffe machine. It's a lot of time for that, But all the optics right now, and even conservative media is acknowledging this too. Trump's in trouble. But again, we got 4 months ahead of us. 4 months ahead of us. So right now, if I make a prediction on Donald Trump's reelection, Re-election chances, percentage-wise, I would put it at 35% right now. And again, I think I'll start doing this every week on the show. This is some little fun thing here to do, you know. So, all right. What I've been watching this week, I actually watched a 4-part documentary on Richard Nixon. It was called Tricky Dick on CNN. I think it aired last year, last spring. I think it aired, if I'm not mistaken. I've always said for years that Richard Nixon, to me, is one of, if not the most fascinating case study in all American politics. Which is a lot to say, considering all the men and women that have gone through the political atmosphere over the course of almost 300 years. We talk about Barack Obama being the first black president. We talk about Donald Trump being who he is, and countless people who have either become president or have affected the political landscape. I have always been fascinated by Richard Nixon. It's just weird. I don't get it. It's because, you know, just everything around him. You know, the race with JFK in 1960. You know, and seeing, you know, his rise. And the documentary again is 4 parts. You know, and I love how they broke it down. They show his, you know, his roots and his upbringing to his time going into politics. Then they go into him becoming, you know, getting into Republican politics, becoming a senator, then becoming the vice president of Dwight Eisenhower from 52 to 60, then deciding to run for president of the United States in 1960 against JFK. You know, losing that election to JFK in a very close election, you know, which triggered paranoia, then losing the governorship to the chance to become governor in California, losing that one in '62, then falling off the political map for a couple of years, pretty much being out of politics for about 6 years, coming back in '68 when the country's falling apart with Vietnam and, you know, race wars and just everything in general, and winning the election in '68 in a very big turning point of his career. And then, of course, his first 4 years navigating Vietnam, ending Vietnam, getting reelected, you know, in '72. And, you know, when he got reelected, he was actually, at that time, freeze frame, at that time, the most popular president in the history of American politics. But yet, Watergate. The paranoia is real. You know, the paranoia he dealt with or he allowed himself to get into was absolutely real. You know, there's a lot of parallels also between Richard Nixon and Donald Trump. Now, obviously, Richard Nixon has a more storied career in politics than Donald Trump. But there's parallels in the way they sort of operated, the way they were very anti-media, anti-press. Although you could say Donald Trump's a lot more bold about it. Richard Nixon also would say that the media was lying or whatever it may be. He had issues with the media himself too. I would say Donald Trump's probably a little worse because I think the media today is a lot more. Even when they get it right, it's sometimes they get a little heavy-handed also themselves too. You know, but it's funny because, like, one of the things I never understood is the fact that, you know, why would he feel the need to bug the Democratic parties, you know, at Watergate, want to bug their headquarters, you know, when he's already, you know, the most at the time, again, the most popular president in history of American politics, history of the country, you know, the paranoia is real. I mean, the Tricky Dick name was really accurate if you think about it. Because he was doing these kind of things, not so much the wiretapping until later on, but kind of the, you know, henchmen, sending the henchmen to do dirty deeds or whatever it may be, against, you know, rival parties, you know. But again, I always, that's not one question for me. I always trying to answer, like, why would he want to do this at the time of re-election? You know, the need to go underhanded when he was very popular. It's the paranoia he dealt with. The paranoia he you know, it's himself. And I think a lot of that paranoia goes back to the 1960 election, the way he lost. You know, so, which I also would recommend too. And I said it on the last episode. If you watch the episode, there's also CNN's other documentary doing on the race for the White House. You can see the details on the Nixon and Kennedy election battle. And they say that a lot of what Nixon went through in losing to Kennedy in that election really did trigger what become a Watergate. So, but it's a very fascinating documentary. I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. Okay. What else have in the documentary I want to talk about here? This week, actually, or in a couple of days, this month, when we call it, July 7th, I think it's July 7th that actually happened, but this coming week, should I say, will be the 10th anniversary of the decision. The decision, of course, being LeBron James going from Cleveland to Miami. I can't believe it's been 10 years since it's happened. I'm really stunned as 10 years has come and gone that quickly. It's stunning. And, you know, those are one of your, if you're a big sports fan, those are one of your, I know where I was at that time this happened. And I was at work when this happened. I remember when I was at work, and I remember when he announced he's going to Miami, and of course I'm in South Florida, so this is actually Miami Heat country here. The whole you know, building went nuts. You know, went absolutely bonkers about him coming down to Miami. You know, what's so funny about the decision though, because I didn't, you know, obviously as the time got closer, I knew Miami was in the picture, but I had no idea. I didn't think he'd come to Miami. I thought he'd go to New York or go to or stay in Cleveland, or maybe go to Chicago. My dad, over that Christmas before, 6 months before that, Christmas 2009, and we traditionally, me, him, my brother, our cousins, we all have like a basketball game every Christmas. We get together in town for the holidays. We'll play basketball, 3-on-3, and he predicted back then, 6 months before, that LeBron would come to Miami, and I thought he was full of shit. I was like, nah, Dad, dude, that's crazy. What can Miami provide? When in fact, Miami all along was creating cap room to get into the room with them. You know, and I don't know, maybe I was naive at the time about the whole thing, but I just didn't think LeBron would come to Miami. I didn't see a connection there. At the time, I know him and Wade were close, but I didn't think that would be an issue. I didn't think that he would lean on that, especially with Wade probably leaving too on top of that. I don't know. But those 4 years, man, with LeBron and me here, the big three, the most fun 4 years of my entire sports fan life. It was fun. It's like, and the best part about the decision too, it created here in Miami, here in South Florida, it created the you know, a bubble of where, especially with the media, and this is when I started getting into media too. I had started around that time podcasting and started writing again. And you can argue the big three would influence that. My return to sports media, or to media as a whole. It made sports radio here locally must hear radio every day, because they were the big three was over speculated over and over again by ESPN or maybe, but even locally too. That's all we were talking about. It made everything else in this entire market second fiddle. The big three, the Heat big three, was the number one thing going on in this market. You know, the city of Miami took on LeBron's baggage. LeBron at one point was the most hated man in America because of it. And we as Heat fans and whatnot, we took on the baggage. We took it on. It was a fun 4 years. It was a very fun 4 years. I miss it. And I don't know. It definitely changed the course of the league for what we have now. You know, the Warriors and Kevin Durant will become the Warriors of that in the mid-2000s, in the aughts, when you call it. So, yeah, decision 10 years. I can't believe it's been 10 years since the decision. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. But, yeah, some fun times, man. Some fun times with you know, LeBron being out here. All right, last thing before I let you go. On my other podcast, Take the Basketball Podcast, we start, you know, I say we talk about we have like the whole point of our podcast is us three guys, me, Mike, and Joe. We bring a topic or take to debate for 15 minutes or less. Past, present, future, wrestling related, of course. And this week I brought in the topic about Undertaker, again, who just announced his retirement pretty much, or quote-unquote retirement, through his documentary. And it's been a topic around here for a couple weeks now. And the topic that was broached was, because obviously he'll get in the Hall of Fame. That's going to happen. The Hall of Fame is going to happen for Undertaker, for Mark Calloway. But the topic that was broached on the pod, and I want to bring it up here on this episode here, is who should induct Undertaker to the Hall of Fame? Who should get the honor of doing that? And we were discussing this, and we all agreed that it was Vince McMahon. We all agreed, and Vince is the obvious choice. If you look at the documentary, Vince is, Mark Calloway, Undertaker, is very much tight with Vince. He pretty much is like a son. He'll do anything for Vince McMahon. He'll take a bullet for him, all that. You can see the relationship. Undertaker's the only guy I've ever seen in the business that makes Vince McMahon likable off screen. And you see that. You see the emotions when it was part one of the documentary when they asked Vince McMahon, what does Undertaker mean to you? And Vince asked the cameraman to stop filming because he got really emotional. So you can see the realness there. So I think we can all agree Vince McMahon would probably be the guy to do it because the importance of Undertaker and being in his business for 30 years and being part of his company 30 years and being a loyal soldier all the way through those 30 years. Without question, Vince McMahon. So the real question really comes down to me is this. Who should be given the honor, hypothetically, if it wasn't Vince McMahon? Who should be given the honor? And, of course, I came with my takes. I said, well, if he was still alive, Paul Bear would be a good choice. Paul Bear did induct Kane to the Hall of Fame a couple years ago. But Paul Bear is no longer with us. So that can't happen, obviously. And the answer I gave on the podcast was, and it's funny, I knew these guys were professionally close, in a sense, because they were same era. So I mentioned, but it's in the documentary where I watched, and I didn't realize how much more respect they have for each other. I was saying on the podcast that if it wasn't Vince, I would say, I mean, the other obvious answer would be Kane, but that's a little too obvious. I was saying having both Shawn Michaels and Triple H induct them into Hall of Fame. And I only said that because of the fact that watching the documentary and seeing how close those guys are, not to say they're best friends, and they made that clear in the documentary. They're not guys they call each other every day, but there's a closeness and a bond that those three have still because of the business, because they were part of that change from the Hulkamania era to Next Generation to Attitude to Ruthless Aggression and all that. They all went through that together. And they were part of the actual core of that business, the core of the WWE. So it would make sense that if it wasn't Vince, then Triple H and HBK would be the next guys up to induct them. So some of the answers in the podcast are really good. I think Mike said Kurt Angle, which I thought was a very, very good one out of left field. They had good matches before, too. I can't remember what Joe said on the podcast. I can't remember exactly what he said his selection was to Taker to be inducted. But I don't know. Vince is the obvious answer. But I do think if it wasn't Vince, I would say HBK and Triple H will be the guys to do that. Anyway, that's it for me now. For this podcast for July 2nd, 2020. Actually, be July 3rd by the time you hear this on the feeds. Again, I'm on Twitter at EJChristian7. Check out, of course, the website at earnestchristian.com. And I guess, once again, also a special birthday shout out to my brother Maurice, who turns 36. You old man, you. Anyway, love you guys. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk soon. Stay up, stay safe as always. Love you guys. Take care.